Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. This is a three-part recipe: Swedish meatballs in a creamy dill sauce with roasted garlic mashed potatoes. All right, so there's three sections. We're going to do the mashed potatoes, then we'll make the meatballs, and then we're going to make the creamy dill sauce. Now, I don't have enough dill because a lot of the seasonings are missing. So I have enough to make the meatballs. I'm going to use seeds and bang them up, dill seeds, to make the dill sauce. I'm sort of compensating for this, all right? Now they want 1 tablespoon of roasted garlic puree. Now they want you to break the cloves. Set your oven at 300. And put in enough garlic that you can get a tablespoon of puree out of this. I don't know how many garlics that's going to be. I might do more than I need, but that's all right. We're going to leave them in their skins individually like this. And we're setting the oven, so we want them to be roasted at a low temperature so you get that sweet smell of them. So that's why we're going to do this at a lower temperature. And I hope that will give me a tablespoon, maybe more. Wait, I need this for the meatballs. Okay. All right, so as soon as that gets up there, we'll put them in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour to get the sweetness. If you do it at 350, you have to, in 30 minutes, check it, but you won't have the sweetness of the garlic. It'll be more of a robust flavor. Now, my stove, well, my range top, because I have an oven the oven in the wall. I have a range top. They came yesterday late, and the wiring, they said it's an old unit because it's about 13, 14 years old, and the wires have to be replaced. So they had told me to unplug it. I left it unplugged. So now I'm going to have to use it. He said because it is gas with an electrical click, click, click to trigger the gas. He said unplug it. Use a lighter or a match, turn the gas on, and you can use it. So I can still use my range top until they get the parts in. So that's what's going on with my range top. If it's not the oven, it's the range top. Aren't I betting a good average? So you'll be seeing me, and I'll show you how to do it. But in fact, I'll show you now for the young ones that if you have a gas stove, and it works with an electrical unit, if you unplug the electric part of it, if you're having, like, because mine kept on going click, 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 click to light the gas, I unplugged it, and they came and they said, as long as the electrical part is unplugged, I can use the gas. So to me, this is like going back to the hunting camp and going to the apartments when I was little with my mother, and she used matches. So I'll show you how we used to do it before we got all this computerized stuff going. Hold on a minute. I know the older people will say, oh, I remember doing that, or I remember my mother doing that. Yeah. Like I told you, I was around a lot of older people, so they taught me. So just watch. Now, as soon as I turn the gas on, because the wiring, they've turned all the electrical parts on. This is like a regular gas stove now. Danielle, what did you do? Push it so hard. Okay. You do not turn this gas on, okay? Now, remember, the electricity of this has been turned off. It's only gas now, 100%, until they get the wiring. Strike your match. Do not leave it up here because the gas is going to spread. You put it next to it. And that's how you turn the gas on. That's how we used to do it. Now, I'll turn it off. Now, before we had it like this, you used to have a little place in the center between the two burners. I can actually talk and walk you through all of this. They used to have, let me put my match here. All right. There used to be a little lump right here. And what it did was it fed gas to both of these. All right. But according to which side you turned on. But all what you had to do was when they came in and installed it, what they would do is they would light the center here, and it would always stay lit. And what they did was, you just turned this on. You didn't get a click, click, click. The gas would just click on. So before you got to the click, click here. Now before then, now I'm going to go way back, when they had wood burning stoves. They had 2 trays in the front here. They had like 6 burners on their stove. They had two. They had the big stoves. What they did was they had a tray that you would pull out here, underneath here. And when you pulled it out, if there was ashes from cooking for the day, you would just sweep them out, and you would sit there and push it back in. Then you had these round discs that had a hole on the side, and you have an arch like this, come up and you put it in to pick that disc up, all right? And when you looked in there, that would be the tray that you just pushed in. Now, before a woman would go to bed, this is what she'd do in the morning. She'd clean the tray out here, she'd pull it out for each of her for the burners, and she'd make like a little campfire. They'd actually put woods and sticks and stuff right there, and they'd stack it up, because that's going to be their fire. They'd put it for this burner, and then they'd do it for this burner, and then they'd pull each tray out and do it. So in the morning, when they lift that up, next to the stove, they would have paper twisted, really, really tight. And she'd take one of those, and she would light it. And then when she picks this up, the tray that sat there, she would light the stuff in there, and then they'd put that heavy, it was all cast iron. My mother'd have it on the hook, she'd lay it back on, and then she would put her pot on with water and stuff or whatever. And this is how they did it. Now the oven was even more interesting. They had the dial, but it was known as a floating dial. So in other words, they'd have to sit at the stove, because underneath the oven, they'd have to pull out the tray and, put the stuff to do the fire, and they would clean the ash out. So they really had an easy stove to clean. And what they would do is they would heat the oven up, and the dial would float, literally float. I don't know how they did it, but it would float, and you see it climb up to the temperature that you wanted. If it wasn't high enough, you would put more stuff in to get the fire higher underneath it. Then, if it got too high, they'd have to wait or open the door until it cooled down. This is how they controlled the temperature. So women were constantly in the kitchen. They had to watch that knob, because as it started to drop, they'd have to add more to keep the flames going. Now, the stove actually sat above the ground. It had feet on it. Let me put my garlic in, because we got like 30 minutes with this. So what they would do is when the men were out and the boys and outside, and they came in and it had been raining and their boots were wet, they had a clearance underneath it that they would sit there and put the clothes, the boots under there, or the shoes underneath the stove, and they would actually dry their boots out for the next day. So this is how the stoves have changed a lot. So when you know the growth of the stove from one point to another, you got it down. I know I've got to give you the answer to the game we played, and I will be doing it after we finish cooking and all. I'll give it to you this afternoon. But that's some history of how the stoves worked. I knew from the wood burning straight through up to today. So when he sat there and said, look, because your electric line is off, you can use a match. And I said, I know, because I knew how to do it, but I just wanted to make sure that I knew what was wrong with my stove. Okay, now we're going to need, I'm going to have to get my scale out for this and my glasses so I can read. We're going to need 3 russet potatoes, about 8 ounces each, so 8 times 3 is 24 ounces. That's what we're going to need. Ounces each. You know that's going to be a lot of mashed potatoes, but they say this dish goes very well. So let me get my russet potatoes and I will be back. Okay, I just weighed them. I have the scale right here. It's 1.5 pounds that we need. The 16 ounces is a pound, and 3 is 24. So you want 1.5 pounds of potatoes. Now, they're going to tell me I'm going to have to peel these. Okay, because of the way it's going to be and have the garlic flavor, and because these are russet potatoes have a very strong flavor with the skin, so it's best that you peel these potatoes so you can get the garlic flavor. But you can take the peelings and you can throw them into your vegetable stock and get the nutrients from it right there. So let me get that. Peel your potatoes, and they want you to, how do you want it? And just chop them, and then I'll be back. Okay, we're going to chop our potatoes up. This is approximately how many that you'll have to make this recipe. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. It really happened to me. We were in an apartment, and they had this stove. Man, it looked horrible. It looked like it had been through World War II, 3, 1, every one. There's no World War III yet, but 1 and 2, and every war in between. And I was not happy with that stove. So I decided I don't like filthy things, okay? I try to keep my house as clean as I can. It doesn't always work, but I try. And I proceeded to clean it before we called the people in to get it fixed. The men came and they saw the stove looked brand new because I had taken the time to clean it inside and out. And they said, "You got a new stove?" They never give out new stoves. I said, "No, I cleaned it." And those men looked at me and said, "You can clean it and get it to work?" I said, "Yeah." And they started talking. They were angry that their wives let the stove get dirty and then tell them it doesn't work anymore so she can get a new stove. And I laughed. I think I gave the secret out, you know, that you don't have to do that. You got to clean it and just take care of it. If you don't take care of it, it'll fall apart on you. Now, they say this stove is 12 years old, and it's old, right? The range top is old. They have wood-burning stoves that I've just described, and they still work to this day. So who had the better stove? Yesterday or today? Today is made for women to be lazy. In those days, women had to be strong to do what they did. So are we getting better as a race? Or are we getting lazier than a race? Those old stoves still work to this day. And I think that is just absolutely beautiful. Oh, that garlic does smell so much sweeter. When you use high temperature, you can burn them. Okay. Do you want me to add anything while I'm cooking these? Okay. Well, I'm not adding salt to them. I don't add it till now. Okay, they want us to boil them until soft. Now you know you only put the water up to 1 inch above your potatoes. You don't have to go in these big pots. Just go 1 inch above them, bring it to a boil, turn them down, and we're going to cook them. I'm trying to get my matches out and light a burner. See if I can do it with this hand. So easy. So because I cooked on many different stoves, with the wood burning, I cooked with my mother. Okay, I had to cook with her. And by the way, when you're done cooking, you had to wait till all of the fire went out before and cooled before you could clean it. Okay, we got that done. Now those potatoes, it's wet. We have to wait for those potatoes to cook. When they're soft, we'll move to what we have to do next. I don't know how this whole recipe is going together. I think I made the Swedish meatballs once for you. Well, I can't remember. Maybe it was an idea, and I promised you it, but they didn't have the stuff. Like, I need stuff to do this, and I'm running out of these things because of what's going on right now with the tariffs and all. But it'll all settle down in time, and then we'll be back on track again. I gotta call my butcher. Okay. I'll see you later after the potatoes are done, so we're on pause. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. I have to get the garlic out of their skins. They are hot. Do be careful. Now, if you overcook them, they're going to be very, very brown. But see how nice they came out? That's how you want them. That's why it says 300. And this one I have to cut this part off. Yeah, I'll burn my fingers, knowing me. But you see how nice the garlic came out? So if you do it at 350, you have to check it because you could burn it, and you don't really want to burn the garlic. You want it nice, roasted. So see, sometimes you have to do some of these things a little different. It might take a little longer, but that little bit of effort that you make makes your meals exceptional. Now we have to dice these up while those potatoes are cooking. Now I'm going to mash them. And that's what they want you to do. Just mash them with the side of a knife. I just wanted to bring them down a little so when I do it, it's more level. Okay, that's all they want you to do. I will check those potatoes. Put this on the side for now. See how these potatoes are going. Okay, we got the potatoes done. Now I want the water from the potatoes because I'm going to be making bread and I want to be able to use it. I don't want to waste it. And what am I going to need? I have to think of what I'm going to need. Just give me a minute. That should work. Even if the potatoes sit in there. I'm straining mine like this because I want the water. Put your potatoes back in your pan. We're going to dry them out some before we do anything. I got to move this. So I have to light my flame again. And you can actually see how it's done. I just don't want to burn myself. Oh, gross. Okay, that one broke. That's fine, I'll get another one. Now once you've used the grid, you have to be aware that the grid is going to be hot. Let me burn this one out. Okay, let me get a spoon. Don't want to burn these. Cooking. So what you're doing is drying them up before we get to the other part. And that's why I'm drying them out and I need a mat for the next part. I love these straw mats, they protect so much all the time. When you see a film developing on the bottom of your pot, as you toss the potatoes around, you know they're completely dry. Take them off. I'm going to need this. They want us to use a hand mixer for this. Okay. Put put a whole stick of butter in this. Ah, don't fall. Whatever you do, don't you dare fall. This will get them creamy in a hurry. Is Idaho or dry potatoes? Okay. I'm gonna add the garlic to it. I know I'm doing it in stages, right? I'm going to add a half a cup of half and half. I'll put part of it in before I put the other part in. Oh, they really smell nice. I'm going to whip them up. And we'll be adding salt and pepper next. See, I have to bring everything out because I don't have any room. I don't want a lot of pepper in this one. I would use iodized salt for this recipe. For the mashed potatoes, or the kelp will take over the garlic flavor, and that's not what you want. Salt and pepper is to your taste, so you're going to have to taste your mashed potatoes and sort of adjust it to you. That is it, I am sure. Well, here we go. Part one is done. I'll get a bowl to put this in. These are very, very good. Right now I'm making breadcrumbs off my bread, my sourdough. This is good. This is really good. When I make something good like that, I would just sit down and eat it, you know. That's me. You have good food in front of you. And there are the mashed potatoes for the dish. And I will be back. Okay, I'm waiting for my breadcrumbs, but we'll get the rest of the stuff together with the meat. We are going to need... I can't. I have to wait. Sorry about that. We're going to have to wait. I can't do it. Ah! So... if once we get the meat mixture together, I have to finish waiting for my breadcrumbs. It seems that's going to be the first part I have to do. This is So I will be having a part 2 after, because these are going to have to sit in the refrigerator when we're done putting the meat mixture together for 1 hour. So there will be a part 2, but not yet. I almost got my bread done. Be patient with me. Another little trick you might not know. Let's pretend this this saucepan was in the oven like this. This is a trick you should learn. You don't pick it up like this because it'll tilt, you see? Women had to learn to pick it up like this so you don't get burnt, because our pot holders were very, very thick. They used towels and stuff, so if they came down like this, they could tilt what was in the food. These are all the tricks that we had to learn. Like that. That's how you take it up. Just another trick that you learn. Okay, you're going to need 1/3 of a cup of half and half, half a cup of breadcrumbs, which I finally got. All right, and we're going to let this sit for 5 minutes. Now, during that 5 minutes, you're going to mince 1 onion, and you're going to mince 3 cloves of garlic. And I will be back in 5 minutes. Okay, while the breadcrumbs are soaking, you need a tablespoon of butter in a saucepan. I mean in a frying pan. What am I talking about? Okay, Lord. You're going to melt the butter and you're going to saute the onion. I'm using the frying pan that the bread was in. Turn it on. See, I have to remember because I've gotten spoiled like the rest of you. Oh, let me get this off this burner. So you can see you can go through matches in a hurry. All right, you're going to melt your butter and get the onion in, and we'll start sauteing it. Well, this is doing what it has to do, getting soft. Now, the reason they're telling you not to mix everything up until the breadcrumbs get soft, because they have to hold that moisture. If you sit there and put everything together, it doesn't have time to do that soaking to hold the moisture, so your meatballs are more moist. This is a mistake a lot of us do. We just throw it all in the pot and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. But this way, it'll hold that moisture and let your meatballs be more tender. Trick to the madness. Okay. Now when you saute these onions, just the onions, remember we want to saute them, and we don't want them brown. We just want to saute them a bit, and that's it. This handle's very hot because it just came out of the oven. Okay, I need. I guess I can use a spatula for this. I'll use a spoon. Toss it around. So I know a lot of you know how to saute them. Right now, I've got to make room for you over here first. Okay. I can bring you over now. We're just going to saute these. That's all we're going to do. If you have it too high and you don't give them time to saute right, you will find out that your onions will burn. So you know how to do that. We're just going to cook them till they're translucent. That's when you saute them. But we're going to go ahead and start adding stuff to here. Add your garlic here, because you can see that the bread is very soft. I'm going to have to go back and forth on this one. We need 1.5 tablespoons of dried dill. I don't know if I have enough. I've been looking for some of these seasonings and I have not found them yet. Well, that's going to end on my dill. Weed. Read on the paper on the window to make sure you write it down for your shopping list. Again. Alright, we're going to add 1 egg in. Keep an eye on your onions. When they get translucent, cloudy, you know they're done. Need 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. As you can see, I'm getting low on my seasonings. I'm gonna probably come out spending $50 on seasonings because I am really running low. Okay, they want you to put fresh salt and pepper in it. You have no way of tasting this, so you're going to have to judge according to yourself. Yeah, mine are just about done, those onions. Now, when I grew up in the South, they were not thinking about putting allspice and black pepper and stuff into this with dill. So you can see that the tastes have changed. So when you go back in time, they use different things, so you have to see how they used it. But you can see how cooking is changing constantly. Okay. I'm putting the onions in now. They've sauteed enough. Didn't take long while getting the other stuff done. Now, they say to put beef in here, but I'm using a bison, which is another term for buffalo meat. Just letting you know. So when you see bison, they're talking about buffalo meat in the meat department. And you need 1 pound. Okay. As you can see, these are very, very moist. That's why I mixed all the seasonings and whipped them together first and then added the meat, because they don't want you to flatten it. They want you to use your fingers, mix it up thoroughly, and then make the meatballs. And then they go into the refrigerator. So when you mix it, you can see the parts that aren't mixed. You just work at it till, when you do it with your fingers, until it's all mixed. want you to divide this up into fourths and make 6 meatballs out of each, which would be 24. So if I divide it in half, that'd be 12 and 12, right? And this sort of gives you an idea of the size of meatballs they want. I guess that's why they did it. Because they said this dish only services 4 people. That's a fourth, and that's a fourth, and this is a fourth, about, approximately. Okay, so I took a fourth out, and they want me to make 6 meatballs. These are going to be very, very moist. I don't know how they're going to work. I had a big platter that could fit in them. I have big platters, but if I had one that fit in the refrigerator, I'd be really, really happy. But I don't. I wonder why they wouldn't have me do it a little different. It'd be better if I put it in the refrigerator first. And then roll it out and let it chill. I want it this way. I guess they want to make sure everybody gets the right amount. Nobody gets more than the other. Well, see, I have an old Swedish meatball recipe, and it's nothing like this. So when I do these, and I get different recipes for different times, you can see how we've, you know, changed our taste buds in different directions. These are so moist. I don't know how they're going to hold together when I go to fry them up. I guess the egg will do it. I'm actually taking the fourth and dividing it in half, and then in each half make 3. That's how I'm doing this. I make 3 little piles, and that's how I get it done. Just think, we made meatball soup, we made spaghetti and meatballs, and now we're making these. I already made them, I think, one recipe. This is another one. Or either this was one that I wanted to make. And we finally got garlic mashed potatoes recipe for you, like they do in the restaurants when you go out and eat and you ask for them. And like they say, the trick is that 300 temperature and not 350 or 400. Very slowly for 30 minutes. Then you get that sweet taste that you're looking for. And that one does not want to make a meatball. So if I put you on pause and stuff, I'm also doing clothes at the same time and running around. So if you see me pausing and having more breaks, it's because I have other things I'm doing at the same time. Now they want you to cover this with saran wrap and leave it in the refrigerator. These things have to get cold to set. The egg is the binder here. That's what eggs do, they bind. And they also give extra protein and hormones. And if you eat the whole egg, you get choline and inositol, which are B vitamins, which eat cholesterol up. But if they don't allow the chickens to run with the rooster, all what you get is cholesterol. When you don't get those B vitamins. So people who raise their chickens, if they have roosters, the roosters make sure there's that balanced hormone that we need. Hey, we haven't heard the rooster. We have a neighbor up that way, and they have a rooster. We hear him every spring, summer, and autumn. In the winter, he's quiet. I guess they keep him inside. All right, saran wrap. Oh, I hate this stuff. They use it, so. You don't have to put it on tight, but you do have to make sure that it does rest on them. That's just to keep them from drying out. Okay? So I'll see you in about an hour, maybe a little longer. It just depends upon how long it takes these to chill completely, and then we'll get them going.